Who are you going to call if your grandson's arm gets cut off by a tractor because somebody removed the safety guard? A client called me one time, and this young man, he was a young teenager, was working for his granddad during the summer out on the farm. His arm had been ripped off when it got caught in what's called a PTO, or a power takeoff on a tractor. And what that is at the back of a tractor there's a very fast rotating shaft, and you hook up farm instruments to it, whether it be a plow or some other type of instrument that attaches to the back of the tractor. It's what powers those tools. Normally there's a guard around that PTO, and it prevents people from coming into contact with this rapidly rotating shaft. In this particular case, someone had removed that guard, and this young man's work sleeve on his shirt contacted it, got him pulled into it, and it removed his arm. He was going to spend the rest of his life being disabled because of this obviously devastating injury. The importance of this particular case, as I worked on it, became the fact that sometimes expert testimony and scientific methods and tools can come into play. And here's why it was important in this case. As we deposed different witnesses about this tractor, which was a used tractor, it had been sold several times. What we discovered was that the tractor had been painted different colors at different times during its history. And we realized that it was going to be important for us to try to figure out on the portion of the tractor where this guard had been cut off, because it was a metal guard that had been cut off. It was going to be extremely important for us to figure out what color of paint was the very first layer on the metal where the guard had been cut off, because that was going to pinpoint who owned the tractor when the guard was removed. Well, how do you do that? Layers of paint aren't very thick, and there were going to be, we didn't know how many layers of paint on it until we got down to the layer that was on the bare metal. So we hired a metallurgist, and we found out that metallurgists can use specific types of cameras that can take microscopic photographs of different layers of paint. And so the metallurgist did that, and he was able to identify that at the point in time that this guard had been removed, the very first layer of paint was blue. Through the fact witnesses, we had already determined who painted the tractor blue. And so what we knew at that point in time was that particular company either removed the guard and then painted the tractor blue, or they knew the guard had been removed, they painted it blue, and then sold it in this unsafe condition. And so that was the defendant that was responsible for what happened to that young man.